Hey Eagle fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome into Philadelphia Eagles Now. A ton of Eagle draft news here on a Monday. Before we start though, go ahead and subscribe to our main Chat Sports YouTube channel. You see the link down below me. Also just go ahead and search Chat Sports up in the YouTube search bar. We got a ton of great NFL draft stuff. So we talk Philadelphia Eagles here. If you want a full draft picture, mock drafts, news and rumors, your one-stop shop for everything involving the NFL draft, go ahead and check out the channel and subscribe to them to stay up to date on the latest stuff surrounding the NFL draft. All right, Eagle fans, let's jump into the latest Eagles news and rumors here. There's a lot going on a Monday as we are less than 2 weeks away from the start of the April 29th NFL Draft. And, of course, Philadelphia has news revolving around that and then news revolving around non-draft stuff. And we'll start with the non-draft stuff first and then get into the big trade news, which we'll talk about here in a second. Let's start with, though, the fact that the Eagles are among a lot of teams that are skipping offseason training activities. So voluntary workouts are going to be not happening this year, according to what the Eagles players have put out in a report to the NFLPA. So the Eagles are going to be skipping the spring workouts, which of course is not necessarily that big of a deal. We'll talk about it more in a second, but there are 19 plus NFL teams that have opted out of these voluntary workouts, all citing COVID-related concerns. And it's an interesting process for Philadelphia, as they of course will not go to OTAs, or at least the spring workouts, and whether it's a big deal or not is the real question. So we'll first start with the Eagles players' statement on this. And again, 19 plus NFL teams have also put out a similar statement. Here was Philadelphia's quote: "The ongoing pandemic is obviously still an issue for our city and our country. It is unnecessary for us to put ourselves at risk in this environment. We also know what the data shows about our overall health and safety. As a team and as professionals, we will hold each other accountable as we always do to stay in shape and get ready for the upcoming season," end quote. Now, is it a massive deal that the Eagles are skipping OTAs? No, it's not a massive deal. However, if there was a team that needed some spring workouts, I'd argue Philadelphia is one of them. I think Nick Sirianni is the one who needs these OTAs and really is the one taking the blunt of the negative effects going into this, skipping these offseason training activities and the spring workouts. Now, again, do the Eagles need to go to these to be a good football team? No, they don't. However, because they have a new head coach and really a new coaching staff in general, getting the players in front of them to me is very, very beneficial. So honestly, I'm kind of bummed that they're going to go ahead and skip OTAs. I understand the concern, but I also understand that just because you're not going to go in the spring doesn't mean that you still aren't going to be going in the fall, right? Like eventually they will be meeting up for their fall workouts and for training camp. And so the risk, I guess, will still be the same depending on what the vaccination rate is at right now. And again, we don't talk about politics here and all that sort of other non-football things, but it's a little bit odd to me that you would pitch saying, we're worried about our health, we're not going to go do it right now, but in the same time, we are going to go do it in the fall, which is like the exact same type of workout. So again, not a big deal, not going to worry about it too much, but I do kind of think it's a bummer that Nick Sirianni has to wait a little bit longer to really get the coaching started, I guess, his regime started in Philadelphia. Now, like the player said in a statement, they will hold each other accountable. I'm not worried about people not being in shape. I just think working out on your own versus being able to begin to build the bonds with the team in terms of under the new coaches has its benefits and has its, spot in the NFL in terms of why they have spring workouts. So again, they'll do virtual stuff and they'll do, all their meetings and everything they need with the coaches. Technology like Zoom is going to go ahead and help them out and give the benefit of that. But I think it's a little bit of a bummer that they're not going to go ahead and meet for OTAs because I want this team to start to gel. I want this coaching staff more specifically to start to gel with their new players in order to create an environment that, is inclusive for winning. And that's the goal for every NFL team here. If they thought that this was going to be a very, very big deal, then obviously they still would have gone. But I think most players and I think most people in the media like myself understand why they did this and that it probably is the right move overall. But I would bet that Nick Sirianni is a little bit bummed about the fact that they're not going to go ahead and get started meeting up here early on in the spring. So they're skipping their spring workouts, but we'll be good to go for the fall stuff, as most NFL teams will have to due to, of course, training camp. All right, what do you guys think? Do you guys agree with the Eagle players sitting out of OTAs and spring workouts? If you do, type Y down below for yes. If you don't, then type N down below for no. There'll be a pinned comment down below right here. Just curious. Again, not a big deal, but I wanted to open up with this because a lot of NFL teams are starting to trend this direction. Again, 19 plus teams have opted out. I bet more are to come. Philadelphia is one of them. You guys needed to know that. So give me your response to the pinned comment, though, down below right now. Let's go to some more Philadelphia Eagles news and rumors here. And the big one we saw over the weekend, which is very interesting, about Philadelphia trading back into the top 10. And we talked a little bit about this on the show, but it's now more official because The Athletic and ESPN both are talking about how Philadelphia is exploring trades to go from 12 back into the top 10, where they already were a couple of months ago at number 6, and then they traded back to number 12. So it's kind of odd that we're talking about this right now. But again, The Athletic is the one who broke this news, and so we got to kind of discuss who they would possibly want to go ahead and trade trade back up 4, and that leaves us with a lot of names that might not have been there at 12 that could be there earlier if they want to trade up into the top 10. So a bunch of quotes. They're quick ones, though. I'll just read them out for you right here. The Athletics quote on this was, quote, exploring a move into the top 10 when talking about the Philadelphia Eagles. And then Tim McManus from ESPN, the Eagle reporter there, said, quote, it feels like there's another shoe yet to drop, end quote, when talking about going from 12 up inside the top 10. Now, what's important to note here is not just the fact that Philadelphia is exploring this, but the fact that Philadelphia can easily do this. Like, they can easily move up in the draft and go from number 12 to, say, Denver at number 9, or go from number 12 to, say, Carolina at 8, or the Lions at 7. Like, moving up from 12 to 9 is not necessarily expensive in terms of draft compensation. It'd probably just take, like, what, a third-round draft pick plus number 12 overall. So let's just say a guy like Devontae Smith is falling in this year's draft, and Philadelphia's at 12, and the draft is currently at 8 or 9, Philadelphia could move up to 9, a couple of spots, and then Denver can move back to 12, only a couple of spots back, and the Eagles will only have to give up one of their multiple third-round draft picks. So I'm all for this. I think it's an absolute fine thing for Philadelphia to do. But when people hear moving up in the top 10, they think it's going to be expensive, and it would be if you went from 12 to, like, the Falcons spot at 4, but going from 12 to 9 or 12 to 8 is not really that expensive, and if one of these players falls, Philadelphia could jump all over it and still get the guy that they wanted originally at number 6, but without having to go too far up. So, players that could be there, I mean, we're talking about if they wanted to move up, these are the targets I would keep an eye on. Devontae Smith, to me, is the big one. If Smith starts to have a fall, which people have rumored he might, he could be a real target for Philadelphia to jump up to number 9 or number 8 in order to go ahead and snatch him. Obviously, Jamar Chase, although I think Cincinnati at 5 is becoming a very real possibility for Jamar Chase. Kyle Pitts, I don't really want him, but a lot of people do, and so maybe he falls, maybe he doesn't. And then the two cornerbacks, right? You could get ahead of Dallas at number 10 and take Patrick Surtain, because we know that obviously Dallas needing a quarterback is a very real high landing spot for a guy like Surtain. So if you wanted to jump Dallas and make sure you for sure get your cornerback, then going to 9 is a possibility. And also J.C. Horn, who I don't think is as good as Patrick Surtain. I think is right on par with Caleb Farley, the other top cornerback in this draft. But if Philly loves him and they don't want Dallas to get him, or even I guess the Giants at number 11, you could jump ahead and take J.C. Horn as well. So plenty of options for Philadelphia to go ahead and grab if they move up. But I think the importance of this segment is to show that moving up is not necessarily as crazy of an idea as some people think it is, because if you only go up 3 or 4 spots, you're only giving up, a mid-round draft pick, a third or a fourth-round pick, and honestly, if they can get one of those 5 guys and they think he won't be there at 12, moving up is absolutely the right thing to do. Now, out of the 5 that I just gave you, which one would you want to trade up for the most? I'll give it to you the list again. Smith, Chase, Pitts, Surtain, or Horn. Which of the 5 do you think is the most intriguing prospect that you would want inside the top 10? Let me know what you guys think down below right now in the comments section. For me, I think Surtain and Horn can possibly be there at 12, so I'd stay put. But if Devontae Smith or Jamar Chase were to fall, I'm all for moving up for them. That would be my pick, but I want to hear from you guys down below right now. Okay, before we go ahead and keep going, as mentioned earlier on in this video, be sure to subscribe to our main Chat Sports channel, where we will be live for every single pick of the 2021 NFL Draft. Over 1 million people watched our live draft coverage on Night 1, Night 2, and Night 3. I mean, we had a ton of people keeping us up to date. It's a great alternative to all the national stuff, especially if you're on the road. Just go ahead and go to our YouTube channel, chatsports.com, or our Chat Sports TV here on YouTube. Just search Chat Sports above me. The link is down below. And you'll get live draft coverage. I'm sure I'll be a part of that as well on Night 1, talking about the Philadelphia Eagles pick. And so, again, make sure you guys subscribe to our main channel now to be ready to rock whenever the NFL Draft starts, really in less than 2 weeks. All right, let's get into another Philadelphia Eagles news story in terms of the news and rumors. And this is something that's been talked about a little bit, but really got some legs when the NFL Network picked up this story in terms of wide receivers falling at number 2, to number 12, outside of the top 10. So there are a lot of rumors right now, and we'll read you the Peter Schrager comment here in a couple of minutes about wide receivers that were once rumored to be top 10 guys that could fall outside the top 10 and therefore be where Philadelphia is currently at number 12 overall. We've talked about Philadelphia moving up in the draft, but could they just stay put at 12 and still get a top receiver? That seems to be a trend that is heading in the right direction. I think there are pretty good odds that Philadelphia could get their pick of the lot at wide receiver minus Jamar Chase at number 12. And this Peter Schrager quote from the 2-for-1 Draft podcast that he was on is, to me, pretty intriguing, right? So listen to this. Quote, I don't think it's a slam dunk that Jalen Waddle or Devontae Smith gets picked in the top 10. Kadarius Toney, I think that guy might go top 15. I think he might even go before Devontae Smith. I mean, that's stuff you're hearing about him out of Florida. He's so tough after the tackle, and you can use him in that Deebo Samuel way, end quote. So 2 thoughts there, right? Smith falling, and then Kadarius Toney from Florida being a top 15 first-round draft pick is kind of unheard of, at least for the past couple of weeks. Let's just hope that Smith falls, though, right? That's the takeaway here. It's not that Toney could be there at 15. It could be an option for Philadelphia at number 12. That's fine, but let's hope that Peter Schrager is right and Devontae Smith falls. I mean, the guy won a Heisman Trophy for a reason, but I love the idea that he's being overlooked right now because he's a little bit undersized. Like, okay, fine. Let all these other teams pass on Devontae Smith. Let him fall to Philadelphia. I'll take him gladly. I'm a big Devontae Smith fan. I really hope that he goes ahead and falls. However, if you wanted to just get Chase or you wanted to get Waddle or even Toney, it would be an upgrade to the current Eagle wide receiver depth chart because, as we know, we like Rager, we like Fulgham, we like Ward, but none of those guys are true number 1 receivers as of yet. And the hope is that Smith or Waddle or Toney or Purdue or Rondo Moore or any of those receivers would turn out to be a top number 1 option for Philadelphia. So just get one of them, and hopefully they turn out to be great. On Toney, though, quickly, again, you heard him compared to Deebo Samuel. That is the main comparison right now, although Toney is considered a little more of a slasher than Deebo Samuel is. A great prospect who's getting a lot of love right now recently in the draft. He will go in the first 2 rounds. I'm not sure he's going to be a top 15 guy, but there's plenty of precedent for wide receivers going higher than they should. So I'd be interested in him. I like him in the 2nd round. I don't know about the top 15, but add him to the list of options for Philadelphia, apparently at number 12 overall. I'll finish on this question. What do you guys think? Should the Eagles go wide receiver or cornerback in round 1? Where would you like to go? I mean, honestly, I've talked about both, right? I would like a wide receiver because they need one, but if Patrick Surtain is there at 12, it's hard to pass on him. So let me know what you guys think in terms of round 1 options, wide receiver or cornerback down below right now. Ultimate for today here on Philadelphia Eagles Now. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, plenty more coverage coming up this week as we get closer and closer. Like Tim McMahon has said, there could be another shoe yet to fall, and if anything crazy happens between now and the draft, and then, of course, after the draft, we'll cover it here on the channel. For Philadelphia Eagles Now, I'm Thomas Mott, signing off for the rest of your day.